Must be lesbians. Good afternoon, Jank enthusiasts. I'm MBT, and this is 10-Minute Testing. As we move from a Justice Hunters metagame of K9, Yummy, and Draco Tail to a Doom of Dimensions metagame of K9, Yummy, and Draco Tail, let's have a short reprieve and take a look at the strategies that are also doing good elsewhere. And who better to begin with than your favorite streamer's favorite strategy? Presenting, oh my god, I love Ray.
Oh my god! Full art Sky Striker Ace Ray!
So here's the list, fresh from a top 8 finish at the Budapest Regional this past weekend. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course the card by card. But first, being a YouTube mega quadrillionaire is a tough business. Like many of my fellow bourgeois, I'm faced with an ever-present problem. Where to hold my vast riches? Well, today's sponsor is Exter. Exter wallets are currently running a sale. They're offering 2 amazing products with a steep discount for my loyal viewers. The first, their Wallet Pro, is my wallet of choice. It holds 1 to 14 cards with an ejector, and their new and improved version has Vachetta leather and no plastic anywhere. Their second, the Travel Pack Vacuum Kit, is a great storage saving mechanism for anyone who travels frequently, like to events, and they made the mistake of asking me to demo it.
All right, I'm packing for Chicago. We're gonna bring the shirt of shame, just planning ahead. You know what, I'm gonna take the Edison deck as well. Zip it all the way up, plug this sucker in, and okay, I'm seeing a problem. You probably shouldn't do this. You probably shouldn't put the deck in there. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's saving space. Just don't put the deck in there.
Get up to 35% off or 45% off using this code. That's like absurd, right? Thanks to Exter for sponsoring, and now back to the video. With that, let's settle into Sky Striker. At this point, Striker needs no introduction. A collection of spells that get better provided you've already activated a lot of spells, and a bunch of schoolgirls, this newest Konami darling just keeps getting support. The top deck throughout TOS, Striker's had sporadic stints of playability in the years since. Mostly, it's the result of the shockingly unlimited Sky Striker Mobilize Engage, a veritable pot of greed with upside, which is often activated a half dozen times in a single turn. That said, the rest of the lineup is nothing to shake a stick at. What we're here to talk about today is a new spell card, Lemon's Gate, and a new monster, Zero. Lemon's Gate allows you to non-targeting return monsters on the field to the hand and link out with a striker by banishing it to the graveyard. This enables absurd Hayate setups, but also plays nice with Ace Zero, a Link 2 Sky Striker monster that if special summoned adds a Sky Striker spell to your hand. Yeah. At quick speed, it can tag into Ray and Rose and pop a card, clearing the way for a Ray OTK, courtesy of Lemon's Gate or Linkage or whatever you want. We've stuffed the rest with blind second staples because, spoiler, we're taking the draw. So with that, let's get into the card by card. First up, 3 Rays and a Rose. The Rose here because it is part of the Sky Striker Ace Zero tribute effect. We're playing 3 copies of Engage, 3 copies of Linkage, 3 copies of Widow Anchor, 1 copy of Hornet Drones, of Shark Cannon, of Area Zero, and of Multi-Roll, plus 1 Lemon's Gate. Target an equal number of Sky Striker Ace monsters and Sky Striker spells in your graveyard, shuffle them into the deck. Then for every 3 shuffled cards, you can return up to 1 card on the field to the hand. If a Sky Striker monster is special summoned to your field while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish it to immediately after this effect resolves, link summon a Sky Striker Ace Link monster. After that, we've got 2 copies of Foolish Burial Goods, 3 Upstart Goblin, and a bunch of non-engine, Raigeki Forbidden Droplet, 3 Super Polymerization, 2 Triple Tactics Thrust, a Harpy's Feather Duster, a Triple Tactics Talents, a Reinforcement of the Army, a Called by the Grave, a Metal Foes Fusion, and an Infinite Impermanence. In the extra, we've got a Hversrog, a copy of Garura and Mud Dragon of the Swamp, a Typhon 00, which can only be special summoned once per turn, can't be used as link material, and if special summoned, adds a Sky Striker spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand. As a quick, contribute to special summon both a Ray and a Rose from your deck or graveyard, then destroy a card on the field. After that, we've got SP Little Knight, Zeke, Hayate, Kaina, Triple Kagari, and a Shizuku. In the side, we have the regrettably now limited Solemn Judgment. There can only be 1 Dimensional Barrier, Evenly Matched Double Dimensional Fissure. Remember, this is only monsters sent to the graveyard, Herald of the Abyss, Triple Troll Knockbird, and Triple Artifact Lancia. So with that, let's check out some games. Our first match is up against Mimighoul Yummy, which is a really exciting deck that shows you that Peeps was around at the time we were recording this. They're going to begin with a copy of Mimighoul Maker, giving us an Archfiend and grabbing them a copy of Dragon. We are going second, as is our desire, as our opponent adds another Maker to hand and activates Dungeon to grab a copy of Fairy. From here, they're going to special summon the Fairy from their hand and then make a Link 1 followed by a Cupsy Yummy Way. That's right, that's how it works. They're going to pitch a card and then go into Snatchy. Snatchy effect is going to grab them a copy of Mignon into Yummy Cupsy, whose effect they will activate in order to get Lollipo and Cookie into rotation. Finally, they're going to go for a Ripple Bird to flip up the Mimighoul Archfiend, forcing me to discard as they go for Lollipo Yummy Way, summoning back the graveyard. From here, they're going to overlay for a Joyous Melfies into another Snatchy, into a Cookie, set 3, and pass turn. That's pretty powerful. We'll draw for turn, and it's not more powerful than Harpy's Feather Duster plus Raigeki. We're going to begin with Harpy's Feather Duster. They're going to chain Feather Storm and Surprise and Room, which means that we aren't going to be able to activate monster effects this turn, but who cares? We are going to go ahead and send all those spell traps to the graveyard. Then afterwards, we are going to go ahead and fire off this copy of Raigeki after they Cookie Yummy Way their own monster down. Cookie Yummy Way is going to tag out, as is Joyous Melfies, just to retain them in the extra deck. They're going to bring back 2 monsters, which are going to immediately go to the graveyard. We will Upstart Goblin, they will Fuwalos. Well, since we can't really do anything this turn, we might as well just normal summon Ray, and then set a copy of Called by the Grave as we get in for 1500. We need them to fade a draw, which of course they don't, but Cookie is not fantastic, because as they go for Mignon and put cards back, we can go for Called by the Grave on the Snatchy, which will prevent it from really accomplishing anything. Cookie here can target the Ray, we can tag out the Ray to go into a copy of 0, and from this position we can activate the effect of 0 to get Rose and Ray, and eat the Cookie Cupsy Yummy Bummy. We'll draw for turn, and that should be all she wrote. From here we can link off into a 0, trigger the effect of the 0 in order to grab a copy of Engage, then fire off the Engage in order to grab a copy of Linkage and draw another Engage as well. Alright, Battle Phase will get in for 2000, activate the effect of Linkage, and get ourselves a copy of Kagari. Kagari effect will cycle back the Linkage, get in for 32, and then we can Linkage again in order to send the Kagari for Ishizuku, getting in for the remainder of the life points. So that's what the deck does on the draw, but what if you're forced onto the play? Well, for game 2, we're playing against Labyrinth and going first, just to show you what it's like. We'll begin with a copy of Foolish Burial Goods into a copy of Metal Foes Fusion. We will engage into Engage so we can get our extra draw, and it's a thrust, not super necessary here. We're going to go from Ray into Kagari, cycling back this Engage. We get so much advantage off of this, but we don't get to really go anywhere. We can Upstart Goblin in order to draw a card. Raigeki doesn't do anything. Linkage is going to be met with an Impulse, which unfortunately doesn't turn on the thrust. We'll draw a card. It's a Hornet Drones. We'll go into a Shizuku. End step, we're going to trigger the effect of the Shizuku, then do the Shizuku Shuffle, targeting the Shizuku with a Widow Anchor, then activating the effect of the multi-roll to set both the Widow Anchor and the Linkage. Our opponent's going to go for a Torby at end step in order to get a big Welcome Labyrinth to their side of the field, then summon out a copy of Lady Lab of the Silver Castle. They're going to do the right thing and set a card before activating Big Welcome, which means we have to use Forbidden Droplet in order to negate it. But they still get to go for Lovely Labyrinth, so they're going to go Lovely Labyrinth 1, Stovey Torby 2. We're going to go Linkage 3, Widow Anchor 4, target Silver Castle, and Shark Cannon 5 to banish the Stovey Torby. We're going to go for the 0 here, then afterwards they're going to go for the effect of the Lady Lab of the Silver Castle into a Typhon. From this position, they can Typhon to shuffle back the 0, who is at 3, but we can bring back the Ray and trigger the Ray here in order to go into a copy of Kagari, in order to add back this copy of Engage. We should be set up for next turn. We will at end step be able to set this copy of Shark Cannon as they get back the Lovely Labyrinth of Silver Castle. First and foremost, we're going to fire off this Raigeki, then we're going to Engage, draw a couple of cards in the process, a Super Polymerization, go Hayate and attack directly. That's 15. We'll trigger the effect of the Hayate and set a copy of Rose. We'll activate the effect of the Linkage in order to cycle into a Kagari, trigger the effect of the Kagari for a Linkage, then get in for 32. From here we can Linkage in order to send the Kagari, get a copy of 0 for 3. They'll go Welcome Labyrinth, which summons an Ariana to their side of the field, whose effect they will activate. But from here we can just attack into the Ariana, trigger the effect of the 0, summon out both the Ray and the Rose, get in for 15 and 15, then once again trigger the effect of the Ray in order to go into a Kaina, who we have not yet summoned for lethal. So it's time for game 3, and you know what that means, a best of 3 versus meta. Our opponent's on Vanquish Soul Canine, and God, I'm sorry. Looking at the grip, you can just see what the new ban list hath wrought. Okay, well, we're going second. This hand is pretty good. They're going to begin with a copy of A Case for Canine. That's going to grab them a Yokel. Yokel effect will summon itself and this Lupus. Activate the effect of the Yokel to grab a copy of Lantern and go into a Ripper. Ripper here is going to grab them a copy of the Izuna, which we do not intend to turn on, into Lantern, into Lupus, into Nash Knight. Nash Knight trigger. I imagine we're just going to go ahead and end on, the one, the only copy of Umbral Horror Masquerade. Not popping the Case for Canine because they already drew the Force Release. Well, we'll begin with a copy of Upstart here. That's a nice one. We will Harpy's Feather Duster, which forces the forced release so they can maybe activate the effect of the werewolf. Now, this is kind of crusty, but I think we probably have to imperm, triggering the werewolf so we can chain Widow Anchor. It's like really gross, but does get the job done. Afterwards, we can thrust into an Ash Blossom and, okay, well, battle phase Widow Anchor. I guess we'll take Umbral Horror and chain the effect of the linkage to go into a 0. We'll trigger the effect of the 0 here to get a copy of Rose and Ray, and then we will send our opponent's last remaining monster. We'll get in for 3, 15, 15. Then we'll trigger the effect of the Ray in order to grab a copy of Hayate. Hayate Direct enables us to send from deck to graveyard a copy of Engage. Then in main phase 2, we can link everything off for Zeke, trigger the effect of the Zeke to banish our Rose, and make a Kagari afterwards. Putting our opponent at 1500 isn't ideal, but it does get them in a position where the Rose can translate into a Hayate, so they're going to have to kill us this turn if they want to win. We're just going to get a Hornet Drones for added access to our Link monsters next turn. They do draw a monster for Holisu. They're going to activate Holisu here, and then activate the effect of the Azana. We can Lemon's Gate in order to shuffle a whole bunch of Link material back and bounce the Holisu. From here, they can send a copy of Yokel into an SP Little Knight, but SP Little Knight Banish means that we're not dying, which means we win. We can go to our main phase 1, make Hayate. They will chain Holisu, summon it from their field, and Heavy Borgar, I guess just to look at us. We'll go directly for 15 and go to game 2. So it's time for game 2, and right, Shifter is a card that's legal. Well, thankfully, our opponent doesn't have anything else to do, so they're just going to Shifter and pass. We'll draw for turn, and, I mean, we probably have to just wait it out, right? We'll go Reinforcement of the Army, grab a copy of Ray. I'm even kind of two minds about putting this Reinforcement of the Army into the Banished Zone instead of the Graveyard, but we've got enough spells. They're going to begin with a Zuna and go to the battle phase. We'll activate the effect of the Ray, and as we summon this copy of Kaina, I'm thinking, I hope they don't have Fant, because then I'm going to feel like an idiot, but there it is. Okay, they'll shuffle a couple of cards and walk over the Kaina. Then in main phase 2, they can activate this Rhoda in order to grab a Raisin, activate the effect of the Holisu to reveal the Raisin, then afterwards they can overlay for a Ripper. Ripper here is going to grab a copy of Yokel, and then afterwards they will Yokel to summon itself and the Izuna, getting themselves a Nash Knight. They will go for the Umbral Horror Masquerade as well, with Izuna follow-up. Okay, that's a little scary, but not really anything into the Raigeki, right? Nash Knight overlays into the Umbral Horror Masquerade, pass turn, we'll draw. That's a nice one. We are going to go for the Raigeki first and foremost. They're going to force release here just to make the werewolf, I suppose. And then afterwards, it's all going to go to the graveyard. We will go Upstart Goblin in order to grab a Forbidden Droplet, then Linkage in order to send the Metal Foes Fusion into 0. We'll activate 0, and unfortunately it is not yet the end of the game because they have an Ash Blossom. We're going to go for Talents here to draw because we know the whole hand and it's not threatening. We'll go Foolish Burial Goods in order to send an Engage for future turns, get in for 2,000, set a couple of cards, and I imagine the Forbidden Droplets are going to get there. They're going to draw for turn. It's Lupus. They're going to normal summon a Raisin, activate the Raisin. We'll go for the Forbidden Droplet, sending a useless copy of Evenly Matched into a Rock of the Vanquisher. That's going to add back the Raisin as they go to end phase, but we can just 0 to eat this Rock of the Vanquisher before it can summon the Raisin out again. We will go for the effect of the Ray into Kagari into Engage, and should just be able to hop, skip, and jump to lethal here. Down comes Zeke. We will Engage, draw a card in the process, and it's another Super Poly, get in for 15. Then afterwards, we'll activate Linkage in order to send for 0, get in for 3, and afterwards go for 0 to summon both a Ray and the Rose from Grave, getting in for the last little bit. So we're back with the deck, and it's definitely better than I expected, which is frightening. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. The new Striker support is bonkers. 0 is another way to search any Striker card, it's extra interruption, and it's OTK, all in one. The addition of Lemon's Gate adds a Striker card that recycles all of your links and spells so you never run out, and it doesn't even have the MMZ restriction. 2, with the success of Breakers in the format right now, this deck is pretty well positioned. It gets to play a ton of Spell Breakers, which also fuel its own engine. And 3, the deck OTKs like nobody's business these days. Gone are the unfortunate scenarios where you'd have to Hayate over the course of 3 turns. You are doing 8,000 pretty much anytime you get to the battle phase. And the cons. 1, Droll is really dangerous for the deck a lot of the time. Not being able to accrue advantage from Engage is a real problem, especially in grindier matchups where you aren't going to be able to break the board in OTK. 2, the deck has a pretty low ceiling going first, especially into hand traps. You can plus a whole bunch, but often you're just going to end on like 3 interrupts, which can be chewed through quite easily by the current top decks. And 3, the deck is hard. Minor technical play mistakes and making plays on predicting future turns wrong can cost you games on the spot. Overall, oh my god, I love Ray. So that's that. Thanks so much for watching. These 10-minute testings are made possible by, and occasionally suggested by, my patrons, some of whom have paid a lot of money to be mentioned at the end of the episode. Here are them now. Elena Tincher, Allison Elliott, Ally, APK Pearly Tier 0, Brett Henry, Captive XC, Cool Name, Damon O'Neill, Dark Rebel XYZ, DJ Elefante, El Gravo, El Guacho Malas Opiniones, Emiliano De Verino, NB Adams, Fabrizio Petroli, Felix, Garrett Ran, Hergalicious, John Paradise, Night Mary, Legal Rights, Lucas Rosas, Luis Hernandez, MasterKey090, Matthew M. Derezzo, MBT Play Madolce, Mike Carlotti, N54 Lionheart, Nacho Gonzalez, Pombo, Project Mercury, Rants Are My Thing, Rohan Doge, Rose Lapine, Serpentax, Sly Ninja 43, Soul CLG, Troy Says By Erasure Is Gay, Booznik, Yuki Kazami, and Zircon Sun. Couldn't have done it without you.